Hey everybody, Jay Marino here. Thanks for joining me today for some more Direct Strike. We're Han and Horner. We zoom out. And we get our first cheap guess, especially because we're in the bottom right, which means we go last. Han and Horner are interesting because they have just so many options. So many weird and unique options. A lot of them overlap, so it's really just kind of deciding which one of those is going to be the most cost-efficient thing to do. I actually am going to not put this missile turret down because I don't want... If one of them puts out a unit early, I don't want them to see, because Han and Horner's missile turret has a unique skin to it, so they would very easily be able to tell. I could put a custom skin over it, I think. That might stop them from knowing. But if they saw one missile turret, that might be enough to infer who I am. I put down an early Hellbat and a Hellion here until we know who we're up against. And I just save my money for maybe the first 1 or 2 waves until we see, you know, what units are being overflowed into our wave, Vile Roaches, and then who are we actually facing as well. I think Zagara can kill these herself, especially if she Banelings, but she's not gonna because he's not watching. Okay, so we're facing an Alarak. Oh, gosh. So, Han and Horner versus Alarak is a nightmare. It's a nightmare because he can counter everything. So Han and Horner, they have this ability where they can sell for full price, by the way. So this is going to be a real weird match. And what I'm going to do, I can only hope that Zagara is going to be able to help me out. So essentially, Alarak counters almost everything that we can make. Just by making, just himself, like Alarak himself, if he made just a lot of Supplicants, Destruction Wave just kills all my low-tier units. And then Slayers, pretty much counter every single one of my expensive units in terms of cost-effectiveness. You know, I keep talking about cost-effectiveness. This is one of those matchups that I particularly, I sort of dread, but let's see if we can pull it out. And I'm just going to make Widow Mines. Like, only Widow Mines. You don't understand. It's going to be a dream, but also a nightmare at the same time. So let's make these. We want to spread them out a little bit. And we got to get both of these upgrades. So let's get these down. And I understand that he's going to come through, and then our cannon's going to kill him. It's fine. And part of it, too, is if this Alarak doesn't build what he, quote, should to stop Han and Horner, then yeah. But it's kind of like Kerrigan versus Zagara. If Kerrigan only makes Mutalisks, she could pretty much wipe the floor with Zagara. Okay. Well, our Abathur? No, who is that? It's Abathur, isn't it? Those are Abathur Mutalisks? Yeah. So, obviously, those are going to get killed by Corsairs very, 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 very fast. Very fast. We also have to consider the leftovers from the previous waves as well. I'm just going to start spreading out these Widow Mines in the back. And I think Zagara should do just fine versus Abathur. And again, it's weird, but I think this is going to work. It's just these leftover swarm hosts are going to cause everybody problems. But if we do things just right, we should be able to... Well, number one, we absorb the Shadow Fury. Be careful for Vorazun Corsair Tech Switch. Because once that happens, these mutas are going to evaporate. He needs to get some Devourers out. And that's the only way that he's going to survive that. But I've seen some cool Abathur play where if you place your Devourers in the right spot and you force the Oracles to attack them, then your Mutalisks can come in and still clean up that whole situation. I'm at such a disadvantage to Abathur, or to Alarak rather, that I'm wondering, what the best way to proceed, because we're going to have a lot of these Swarm Queen overflows as well. I am very confident, though. I'm very confident that our teammate eventually will be able to push through their wave, like no problem. So we just want to spread these mines out. I'm kind of glad that I'm recording this one, because this one is just so weird. The thing is, Supplicants are 110 apiece. And what is this Vorazun doing? Just make Corsairs. You know what? I'll take it, because I'm at such a disadvantage. I'm very happy to see them do this instead. Now, I don't think that the weapon damage increases these mines. Deals 125. I could get one weapon damage upgrade to see if it works, but that would also be kind of wasteful. Let's go ahead and grab our refiner, because we are winning the middle pretty effectively. The other thing with Widow Mines that makes them pretty decent is, number one, they stack, and number two, you get that upgrade that when they die, oh, what a dream. When they die, they launch a missile no matter what. Which is this right here. No, it's this right here. It magically gives you free damage. Now, obviously, these Dark Templar are going to do great against Widow Mines. We'll just burrow here, and again, as each one dies, they're at least launching a missile. We get rid of the Stalkers, and we're actually attacking their main base with those right there. So again, it's odd, but it kind of works. Now, being against Vorazun, what I could do is make Wraiths or Vikings, because obviously the Dark Templar can't hit the Wraiths. Wow. Very, very quick game, it looks like. I didn't think... I mean, all this Vorazun needs to do is make Corsairs. But, you know, sometimes... You know, it's a new... You know, if they're a new player, they might not know, or they like Dark Templar, they think they're cool. That's alright. Some people just don't know, and that is okay. You know, sometimes people just aren't... They're not as well-versed in the game, and that is alright. Alright, I think some of those were left over, and this is why I spread my mines out. There we go. Yeah, and then our mines, while they're getting killed by the Dark Templar, they're still going to do that massive amount of damage at the end. So, if we want to go toe-to-toe with the Vorazun, I think we're going to need Deimos Vikings. The Shadow Fury won't do nearly as much damage to them. Shadow Fury does extra versus light units. So we could either make Wraiths, which will take extra damage from the Stalkers, or we can make Deimos Vikings, which I think ultimately might help us a little more versus Alarak. Just because it looks like he's making, what are those things called? The, Destroyers. He's making Destroyers. And he's also making War Prisms. I don't know why. I've noticed some Alaraks doing this lately, where they make a lot of War Prisms. I guess they're only 100 minerals. Do they do Splash? Do they do anything else? I just don't understand it. But my ally is killing the Alarak waves. Okay, as long as we get burrowed and we can kill some of these Dark Templar, we're doing really good work. It's sort of... We've turned Han and Horner into a Zagara wave, which I like quite a bit. This Alarak is... I'm not sure if he might be using Destruction Wave, but on a previous wave. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, finish this group right here. And I could get Assault Galleons and have them build more Widow Mines. That would make them more effective against the Dark Templar as well, because they're flying. And I actually think our Abathur is actually going to win right here. This Vorazun, again, just made some odd decisions, and that was a real quick game, so I'll play another one. I'll play another one. All right. Well, that was, again, a quick one, and that's just because we had an enemy who didn't quite counter. I'm trying to think of a circumstance where if they did make Corsairs, it would have been a lot more interesting. But, hey, look at that. We won with Horner versus an Alarak wave, but we relied very heavily on our teammates. So we are playing Kerrigan. It's Direct Strike. By the way, should have led with that. We're playing Kerrigan in Direct Strike. I'm going to grab Kerrigan first. So let's do that. I'm going to queue up my first extractor. I think you can actually get the extractor out before you put Kerrigan down, but I just want to ensure that she's on the field. She can secure the middle. I think she can beat every hero except Tychus. Actually, I don't even know about the Tychus one. She might be able to beat Tychus as well, but probably not. Tychus is very expensive and probably the strongest hero. Phoenix, you can only get at tier 2, so you're not going to see him in the first wave no matter what. Alright, so let's see who we're up against. Purple is Tychus. Alright, so we're going to do a real risky maneuver here with Kerrigan versus Tychus. Further, well, you know what? Our Nova's going to soften him up, so we will kill him. We're going to do a very risky maneuver versus Tychus. And it's silly, but it'll probably work. The problem is, in order to do it in the first place, we need to tech up really quick. And to do that, that's going to mean that there's going to be overflow from our teammates' waves. So if Nova and Stettman can hold their waves down, And it also depends on what the enemy's doing. They may also try to tech rush. If I can get up to tier 3 and start making Broodlords just massacre Tychus as Kerrigan. It's very challenging for him to be able to do very much. Alright, so we have destroyers here from Alarak. No Alarak himself, just destroyers. So Nova saw the destroyer, I hope, and probably should just start getting Goliaths, or just probably Goliaths or Marines would counter those directly. And the fact that... Okay, let's see who wins this. You know, I actually think Kerrigan will win this. Hit him with a Q. What are you doing? Okay, there we go. Sometimes you just got a manual cast. Okay, so we're going to get to tier 3 and we can start getting Broodlords next time. Kerrigan obviously can do the tanking for us while our Broodlords get into position. And the downside is the follow-up from enemy Stettman is Hydralisks, and Hydralisks are going to counter our Broodlords very well. But at the end of the day, if we can stay on top of Tychus, I think we'll be in great shape. We're not going to be able to get another Broodlord in this wave, so let's go ahead and just grab Heroic Fortitude and +1. And we can get this Porous Cartilage, and then before the next countdown, we should have enough resources to grab another Broodlord, and then more and more and more. Downside is, we're going to have to probably make some Hydralisks to deal with these leftovers, and it really just depends on what this guy's doing. He went 2 gases quickly. It's fine. Okay, so we got a Nakara here. I really enjoy when enemy Tychuses make Nakara. She's, you know what? I'm not going to argue that she's not good in certain circumstances, but probably later in the game when you have more stuff. Understand that he spent 650 resources to heal Tychus through a wave that he still lost. So that's why I just don't think that Nakara is really that great. Give me that level up, baby. Refinery size. We got a forged mothership. That's what I'm talking about. All right, there are the Goliaths. Did he sell his single marine? It looks like it. And he may have teched up to get the... He did! He teched up to get lockdown missiles straight away. Honestly, if you see an Alarak who doesn't even make Alarak and just immediately skips to certain tech, it's probably just someone who's going to try to mass that unit, which is exactly why our Nova was smart enough to counter that straight away. So I think we're all countering our waves individually quite well. Let's make sure that we're spreading our creep, because Kerrigan herself does better off creep, or on creep, rather. I'm not sure we're going to be able to kill him here. Okay, no, we did. Nakara will not survive just because she has nothing. Come on, get her. Get her! There we go. Now, these Hydralisks, again, are just excellent counters to our Broodlords. Ultimately, we will make other units. We will, but to start, just to kind of secure our victory versus Tychus against these early waves. And I think what I will do, because we're winning just so excessively at this point, and we're not going to be able to get another Broodlord out before the timer ticks to 0, is we just queue up our next extractor. And there we go. I'm almost certain that this Alarak is going to make a mothership. Almost certain. Okay, here comes Blaze. Poor guy. Poor Blaze. Okay, so Kerrigan, at the end of the day, is probably going to die, but that's alright, because I'm pretty sure that we can win these waves no matter what. I was hoping I could use a Q there. And the thing with the Broodlords is it just keeps them busy. And see, he has his grenade on autocast, so he's not even able to hit the Broodlords. Now, the issue is this Blaze is still alive. So it all kind of comes down to if we can keep these Broodlords alive and they're going to start stacking. So that's just... It's good stuff. We're going to get more of them. And we probably just want to grab flyer attacks. There's almost no point in trying to upgrade the Broodlings themselves because Tychus and Blaze, for example, can kill them near instantaneously, whether they have upgrades or not. I mean, a mothership's going to get obliterated by these Goliaths as well. We have, I mean, this. It seems like 2 games in a row now I've played against people who they just want to rush something interesting, and I can't blame them, you know. But I'll take the win. I'll happily take the win. Okay, now we see Vega out. Vega's range, though, is not quite there for where it needs to be in order to stop us. And even though the Broodlords get pulled down, they're probably going to still survive. And in fact, it's better if they're on the ground, because then the Hydralisks don't get the extra range to hit them. I know I said I would build other things, but sometimes when it's working. So just keep it going. I could beef up Kerrigan, but you know what? She exists really to just take some early heat, and that's it. Super Gary, gonna do great work against these. Did he rush Super Gary? Alright, we're good. And then that leaves Nova's wave to get through here. And then after that is Stettman. If I want to really screw with Stettman with the leftovers, and that's being really overconfident. That's assuming that I can, you know, obliterate Tychus every time. And I might not necessarily if he starts changing up whatever he's doing. But he's not. We make Ultralisks. And number one, Tychus doesn't have any anti-armor in his group because we forced him to do other stuff. And number two, that would work really well against Stettman. So let's actually finish this row of Broodlords. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab... I'm going to grab all the upgrades for Torasks. Also, you know, these destroyers are going to become a bit of a problem if our allies don't start thinking about them. But you know what? I mean, Nova... Wow, she's got Hollow Decoys out already. These are just so strong. They do 100 damage per hit. More Blazes. I think the only thing that Tychus can really do, I would make Vegas and I would make Rattlesnakes. You need to be able to pull down the Broodlords and then hit them with anti-armor. Nux also could be pretty good here. I never realized you could click on them and see what upgrades he's got. That's pretty good. So I'm taking care of most of the Stettman wave. Obviously, his Corruptors are going to clean me up at the end of the day. This Vega's still alive. Did I call her Nova earlier? It's Vega. Also, you'll notice Vega, when she mind controls something, is just dead. It's just outright dead. There's no coming back from it. It's not like Dark Archon mind control. It's not like Dark Archon mind control, where once you mind control something for like 5 to 10 seconds, the player gets it back. No. It's permanent, and when the timer's up, it just explodes and dies. This actually might be the end here. It depends on how well the Goliaths do. It's just these blazes are pretty strong at tanking the damage. So that just leaves me. I could stack Mutalisks. Mutalisks pretty strong. Brood Mutalisks, you can get that extra bounce attack that they do. You know what? No, Corruptors will kill those. All right, so let's start adapting here. Number one, let's spread the creep. Number two, let's get some extra resources. I'm sitting on so much money, just talking and thinking about what I want to do next. The answer is, we move Kerrigan back a little bit. We get some Ultralisks. We continue spreading the creep. And we're going to want to get Hydralisks as well. We'll get tissue assimilation. That'll get rid of all the stuff on the ground. Obviously, the Corruptors will continue to be a problem. I understand. Sometimes you don't need to counter literally everything. The Corruptors don't kill my Broodlords fast enough. And we're just about here gonna win. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. We're just about to win. So there's really no need to go overboard to try to counter the Corruptors when they're not really doing enough impactful damage to us. Okay, so let's continue getting Torasks, and we're going to want to upgrade those as well. They're going to absorb some Baneling hits. So see, again, I could have overreacted and made a bunch of Hydralisks. Instead, I think we may just win. It depends on what spawns next. I hate when that happens. Like, some of their defensive structures respawn and they absorb some of your hits. Okay. And then next we want to deal with the Destroyers. I think for anti-air, I think I might make Brood Mutalisks. Their attack can bounce up to 6 times, and every bounce does full damage. You have to research those upgrades, but obviously that's just terribly strong. terribly, terribly strong. I mean, I'm not... Alternatively, I could just make the Hydralisks. I almost want this match to go a little bit longer, but that's silly of me to say. We should not mess around. I think what I'll do is get the rest of my upgrades. I mean, they have Hydralisks here, and Hydralisks do counter Mutalisks pretty effectively as well. I suppose if we just made a couple Hydralisks, we want to put them pretty far in the back. If we get these Hydralisks and keep them in the back to kill the Corruptors specifically, that should do it. And yeah, this is two games in a row where we had one person on the other team who just said, like, I'm making this thing regardless of what my enemy is. This, last time it was Dark Templar, this time it's Destroyers. Direct Strike is definitely a game about there's no tactical microwing. I mean, there is, but it's not nearly as important unless you're playing Tychus. Or maybe Vorazun. Some circumstances where manually casting stuff. But for the most part, it's all about strategizing against what your opponent is doing. So to just go into a match and say, I'm going to build blank is, I think, just silly. Why would you do that? All right, so we got all of our upgrades here. And I'm just going to make more Hydralisks. And actually, our Torasks may finish the job. GG. And yeah, he was going for a mothership. And that, maybe that could have turned the tide, but not against Stettman, our allied Stettman, who had made... I think he had some Hydralisks in there, and then our allied Nova, who obviously had just gone tons of Goliaths, which just directly counters the mothership. Motherships are cool, but useful in very particular circumstances, like versus Tychus or other Alaraks. They just do huge single-target damage, and they can't be... Actually, no, I'm pretty sure that they can be consumed by Dahaka, and they can be pulled down by Stukov, Diamondbacks, for example. But ultimately... they can't be mind-controlled by Vega, I think is the main thing. So I think that's where they're particularly good in certain circumstances, but this was not one of them. All right, well, thanks everyone for joining me today. That's 2 games and 2 kind of easy wins, but I hate to say it just because clearly we were just facing some folks who were probably new to the game, but that's all right. I'm sure we'll play some other ones where we're going to get stomped as well. All right, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye now.